Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Unplugged. And it's my pleasure to welcome our guest today, somebody who I believe really epitomizes what it means to be very well made in Nigeria. And he's not a stranger to either Julia Jack's Consulting or to Unplugged because he was our fourth guest when we first started. And that was June 4th. Yes, June 4th, 2019. And Uche Oti was our guest. And he actually revetted us then. But then that was really Julia Jackson Friends Unplugged in a pandemic situation that we really didn't know. So it was a different kind of vibe we had. Today we have him. He came across, yeah, he gave us the professional part of him. He also gave us quite a lot of the personal part of him, what made him who he is, a bit of his journey, quite a bit of his journey actually. But today we are going to focus a whole lot on how has the brand come to be what it is today. So welcome, Uche. Thank you for being a guest on our show again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I consider this a great honor to be found worthy to speak on this very topic, very well in Nigeria. And I must say a very big thank you to the Unplugged team for having set up this, and in particular, having chose this very topic. It means a lot to me. I've been reflecting on the topic for the past 1 week, and I just kept wondering what would have inspired this very topic, But I'm sure in the course of this very session, we'll get to understand, and I'm sure it will help us clarify a lot of things as it concerns our nation.
Okay, well, that's a good jump off point. Why we came up with this theme was that it's easy not to cut Nigeria and Nigerians some slack. It's easier to slag off Nigerians and say we are not doing well, we are not doing well. But hey, how about giving us some credit in areas where we are doing well, where we can see, you know? And I'm staying on my lane and I'm staying with the people that I see. There are people who are doing excellent things elsewhere, in Nigeria, doing wonderful things, things we don't know about. And we felt that we should showcase them. And I mean, not all of us are going to leave Nigeria. I don't think the world could contain all of us. So for those who plan to stay, and indeed I am one of them, I believe we all need encouragement, and we need to tell those people who are really working hard on their crafts, like, your stuff is very well made. Keep it up, but tell us, why did you insist on going that extra mile when it was easier to just manage it like that? So why don't you use
Let's
that as
back
a
down.
jump off point?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
go ahead, please. Okay,
No, no,
okay,
please go ahead.
so that's
Yes.
great. I I yeah, I feel you do not really understand what this very topic is going to do for the practicing entrepreneurs, for those that are emerging, those who have given up, and even those in diaspora. Um, so this topic once again tells me how much you believe in Nigeria, how much you believe in the business community, the Nigerian business community, how much you believe in entrepreneurs. And I am one person that doesn't just believe in the Nigerian business community. I believe in the Port Harcourt business community as well, and
Yeah.
my host community, as it were. So when I saw the topic very well made in Nigeria, to be honest, I saw beyond just the topic. I saw a vision. I saw I saw a trademark. I saw a brand. I saw a distinguisher. I saw a narrative. I saw an opportunity for us to sensitize. I saw an opportunity for us to change all the negative perceptions and views of people about Nigeria. You know, in one of our recent labels, I told the manufacturer to ensure that there was the Nigerian logo on the label. And not just that, to also inscribe there proudly made in Nigeria, because I I realized that there was no better way to speak about Nigeria outside. Okay, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Your voice went off
Okay.
a bit.
Okay, so
Yeah, the sound went off a
okay,
bit, but you're
okay,
here.
yeah. So I said the topic means a lot to me. I In the course of trying to reflect on the topic, I realized that it was actually more than speaking about my brand or myself, to speaking about Nigeria and speaking
Yes.
about the opportunities, the potentials that we have as a nation or as a people. Um, this topic, like I said, is a topic that we need to trademark. It's not just made in Nigeria, but very well made in Nigeria. Julia, I could go ahead to speak about myself, my journey, my growth, how we emerged, but I would digress a bit and speak about other areas that I think would really help those who are viewing. I really do not know where they are in the course or in their journey of entrepreneurship, whether they have given up, whether they are still um, being resilient and pushing, or whether they have been in this entrepreneurship journey. For me, very well made in Nigeria um, does two things. Number one, it tells me how much it empowers us and also the demands that it has placed on us as entrepreneurs. So, how for me as an entrepreneur, I feel that it empowers me politically, it empowers me financially, it empowers me in so many ways.
Okay.
Demands it places on us in the in the area of capacity, system processes, and values. So I'll just
Well,
share it and how it started. And
it's going on and off, but I think we're going to power through because that's one of our strengths as Nigerians. We power through while we look for solutions. You know, we're going to keep powering through. We're not going to manage it, but we're going to keep powering through no matter what. I heard, I think everybody heard what you said about this is not just talking about your brand, because to me, very well made in Nigeria means we are showcasing, and for me, it's about hoping that people are going to learn that there are valuable lessons to be gotten from Nigeria, and Nigeria is it's the incubator. It's created a kind of grit and creativity in us that I feel is almost second to none. I may be biased, and indeed I am biased because I should be biased in favor of Nigeria. So please tell us. You can tell us a little bit about your story, but I think I am at this point, and many of us, the brands represented here, want to know what does it mean to be very well made in Nigeria.
all right, thank you, Julia. Um, like I said, very well made in Nigeria. First of all, what I saw is that it's a vision. I saw it as a distinguisher. When you operate in the market and in an environment where there are a lot of people who are trying to represent the Nigerian brand, um, tell their own story through their craft and skill, but there are those who's been determined to run their business and provide service differently. When I talked about what this topic does, how it empowers us, and how it places a demand on us, demand in the sense that um, it gives you an opportunity to be able to play in the global scale. And how do you achieve that? Number one, you need to decide from the onset to be different. Being different means that you, first of all, value what you have chosen to do. Having valued what you've chosen to do, you think of ways to actually build it in a way that outlives you. And one of the ways you can do that is to introduce systems, to introduce processes, to build capacity, and then hold on to certain values, values as excellence, and and building a trustworthy system. So like I've said to you, I feel this topic goes beyond what most of us would think as being just a product, as to how we can leverage on our craft to change the Nigerian narrative, and take our place, in the global economic, you know, chamber. So um, I told a friend a couple of days ago that this year I've had the highest number of international consultations. A few years ago, we started the suit line, which was the wedding line of our brand, where we started making suits for men. Yeah, we started clothing men as regards their weddings and all. We didn't start up our brand intending that. We had our strength mostly in ethnic wears, which most people call native. But most of the time when clients come to us, they tell us, yeah, so you take care of my traditional outfits. I'll be flying to Lagos to have a designer out there take care of my suit. And I kept seeing an opportunity. I kept seeing, you know, um, a market that was taken away from us because number one, we had not built capacity for it. Number two, we probably hadn't even identified that there was an existing market. So I had to appeal to some of them to give me an opportunity and try our service in that area. And then 2 years down the line, I must tell you that we've not just been able to provide services to people in Nigeria, but as far as Europe, America, and most other parts of the world, the Middle East. And I was talking with my friend, and I told him that we grew up thinking that um, suits were, things you have to buy from the Western world. And I'm really surprised that both Nigerians in diaspora and people I haven't even met before have to demand or request that we make their wedding suits. That I'm surprised, but at the same time, it goes to show that excellence knows no barrier. As long as you understand what you're doing and you set up proper systems and processes to what you're doing, you create trust in your system. Trust being that when the person or the people ordering your services that haven't met you see the processes and the methods through which you either take their orders or engage them or communicate them, it builds trust, between yourself and them, and they can go ahead to request for your service. So I just told myself that, yeah, while there's everything to be thankful for, while it's a huge privilege that you years ago weren't.
Okay, we're
Are
having
you
an
there?
oops moment. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, you're back. All right, you're back. Well, before Uche comes back, I mean, he's already downloaded a whole lot of things for us. He talks about look for gaps you can fill, and he saw a gap in the market. I'm sure he'll be back because he's tenacious that way. I'm very sure he'll be back. So look for gaps that you can fill in the market and be audacious. and go out and ask, look for the opportunities and ask to be given a chance. He also said something that really gave me goosebumps. He said, "Excellence knows no barriers." You know, once you can create trust in your system because you've taken time to step back and create processes, create systems. So even from the first, how would I call it, interaction with your brand, people already trust your brand. So they 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 know what to expect. We actually had a lot of this from marketing communication specialist Lulu Akiwumi. I'm sure you didn't listen to that, Uche, but you are echoing what he has said, what he said to us in our first unplugged session this year. And truly, like you said, this topic places a demand on us, and that is that excellence knows no barriers. And I think a
Yeah.
second demand is that we should celebrate it where we see it. We should patronize it and
Yes.
we should celebrate it where we see it. You know,
Yes. Yes. And more so, Julia, I think Nigerians need to know that we have so much untapped potential, and at the same time we need to have strong faith in in the brand called Nigeria, and also have patience with the brand called Nigeria. Um, uh, few about a month ago or so, I was just curious and I started going through um, the history of certain countries that have become powerful economically, and it would amaze you to realize that a lot of them didn't just show up and became strong. They had
yeah,
to take a decision. They had to they had to work. They had to do a lot to attain the level they've attained. Take for instance China. As far back as let's say 1978, China was about uh, probably the 10th when it had to do with countries with the highest GDP. And just like David, you'd see China tried to swallow up every other country that was high up there. And today, China is the second. I mean, if you even allow me, I would almost rate them as number one. And the question is, how did they do it? A few years ago, if certain ringtones were synonymous to China phones. But
yeah.
today, a lot of people use phones and you forget that the same China you had ridiculed in the past are the ones that made the phones that you're using and you're flaunting. You get. You look at Germany, for instance, which is why I said the topic very well made in Nigeria. I see it as a trademark. I see it as a brand. I see it as a vision.
We
Germany
are going to trademark
is
it.
way. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes,
And then I'll go to tell you how this very well made in Nigeria, like I said, is a distinguisher. It places a demand on entrepreneurs to know that
yes.
we should strive to become extremely excellent and different. I tell you about Germany, for instance. A few years ago, German products were known for being fake. As a matter of fact, the British at the time labeled Germany, for instance, to separate German products from others and enable you to identify it as being fake. They had to trademark it as made in Germany. But they went through all that phase, and had to, through resilience, doggedness, and determination, you know, change that narrative that today, when you see a German product, you want to relate it as being
We
a
trust
product
it.
that is reliable, robust, and very strong. But they didn't start off that way. As a matter of fact, the British meant it for bad, but the Germans had to change that narrative. And I think this very topic calls to our consciousness and our awareness of the need to start changing the narrative. And I give it to the young entrepreneurs today. We're doing everything possible to achieve that. This wasn't given to us. We didn't go to school to study entrepreneurship. Most of us have chosen crafts. They weren't crafts that we understudied for the past 4 years or for the 4 or 5 years we spent in school. But through diligence and hard work, we're beginning to take our places in the global market. You look into the entertainment industry, we're taking our spaces. You look into
Absolutely.
into into various other sectors. The entrepreneurs, the young entrepreneurs are doing everything possible to put Nigeria on the map, and all we need is encouragement. Um, this is not a session I want to apportion blame or blame the government for what they've done or they haven't done. The truth is, the moment your business become a jurisdiction entity where you've registered it with CAC, I want you to understand that you've been empowered to become an authority. Whether you're going to start off in your office or your small unit or your small business, understand that by virtue of having registered your business and it has become a lawful entity, you've been empowered to become an authority and you begin to, narrate or effect the various changes that you expect of the government. That is one thing you need to understand. So everyone who works under you automatically submits to your authority and has the ability to begin to imbibe your values. So one step at a time, collectively, you realize that our dream of changing our nation becomes a reality. You get, but I want us to understand how this very ability of becoming entrepreneurs empowers us to cause this change. If you look at the history of the world, most 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 of the political leaders that have ever emerged, if you look closely, you realize that their supports, most of their major supports came from entrepreneurs. Do
From
you
the
get?
creative
So
industry, yeah,
from
yeah, as
yeah, from
well,
the
yeah,
creative industry, so
yeah.
there is no better time for us to actually change this than now. We've been empowered. We need to change the Nigerian political system. We need to change the Nigerian environment, through our craft, through our skills. If you, I woke up, was it this morning? I was driving to work, and there's this song, somebody's song will find me one day by Tiwa Savage and Brandy. It had attained over 1.4 million views in less than 24 hours. That is a very well made in Nigerian product.
Absolutely,
Do you get?
absolutely.
So through music, we're beginning to access the global doors. We're beginning to take our position in the global market. So I do not see how we have this wonderful opportunity to to take our places. There's nothing wrong with me as a fashion designer providing services to the point where I become extremely powerful and influential, that I begin to contribute to the decision making of who emerges as the governor of River State. That is how we should be looking at the opportunities we have. So when we say very well made in Nigeria, very well made in Nigeria empowers you as an entrepreneur to, through your services and your craft and product, to have a lion's share in this whole dream called Nigeria. It is not something to toil about or joke
Uche,
about.
I want to stop you there because I want to amplify a few things you've said, not to cut your train of thought because I'm totally
It's fine.
riveted by your train of thought. Um, and I think this is what the power of collaboration does because you come up with an idea which you think is maybe just that small, and then somebody takes it and amplifies it and says, "Hey, have you thought about this?" But one thing you said is that once you are registered, you have the CAC. That is your certificate. That is your staff of office, if you like it. That's the authority you need to go and really occupy that your portion of the earth and
Yeah,
take charge of it and be
yeah,
the best. Someone had
yeah,
made a comment here that what she heard is trust in the brand and excellence in delivery. No, I would not say it's excellence in delivery, although that is important, but excellence in your thinking to begin with.
absolutely.
You can start small, but
Yeah,
be excellent in your thinking, however small it is. I get to my colleague sometimes gets exasperated with me when I say no, that spelling is wrong. We need to take down that post. But I insist that anything that is coming from us, I don't care if it's only 10 people see it. It has to be written right. It has to be done right. When we step
yeah.
out, become good, become correct. You understand? Because
And even if you
I mean, if
don't
you don't come
today,
correct,
even if sorry, Julia, and even if you don't today, even if you don't have what it takes to come correct today, try again and keep at it. Have your eye on the mark and know that the intention is to eventually come out correct. All right.
yeah.
Even if you don't right now, have so much faith and believe in the process and know that eventually you will through learning, through mentorship, through, observation, and know that you will come out correct. A lot of us, like I said, some of the things we
Through
have
humility
been
as well.
humility
A
as
lot of us are
well.
not
Yeah,
humble.
which is why I talked about mentorship, because
Yeah,
mentorship requires
yeah,
that you submit under an authority, So, yes, humility, I agree. So, like I said, you see this topic very well made in Nigeria. I do not know for how long this series is going to run, but it is everything that we need to empower us. I look forward to the time where the world will need products that are only made in Nigeria. I look forward to that time. It is not going to come easy. All right, it's not going to come easy. Like I said, I do not wish to really speak about my brand here. I just want to inform everyone out there who's listening that if you're a carpenter, if you're a tailor, if you're a mechanic, you're a caterer, whatever you do, see it as a tool that you need to unlock the global doors. Back it with excellence so much that whether or not you're providing the service from Nigeria, you're not limited. I said to you before that excellence knows no barrier. It would shock you and amaze you how
yeah.
people would demand for your services from the far ends of the earth. You look at the Bible, Saul, whenever the Spirit came upon him, he needed somebody to play the cymbals for him. He probably wouldn't have had any engagement or anything to do with David at the time, but he had no choice. Somebody had the solution. Do you get?
Absolutely.
And so many others. Is it the interpretation of dreams? There is no better way for you to access the doors of the political sector or whatever, if not for your craft. So when you do what you do, look beyond the product and the services and begin to ask yourself, how can I, through my craft, become extremely powerful and influential? Whereby, truly, the Nigerian vision becomes a reality. Dangote is not a
Okay.
politician, but he has a stake when it has to do with the decision making of who becomes our political leader.
Well,
He's
we are
an
all
entrepreneur.
stakeholders. There's no
Yes, we
there's no
are,
option. We're
but
all
I mean,
stakeholders.
we need to
We have
begin
to
to
be
think
political.
differently. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to start thinking differently. So every opportunity you have to provide a service, back it with so much excellence that you become irresistible.
Okay.
So
Um, I hear you, and I also hear what you said about having strong faith and patience in the brand called Nigeria. Um,
yeah,
my friend's father always said to her, and she now said to me that there's no dustbin for human beings. And what he meant was that you can't throw human beings away. You just have to keep having faith in human beings. You can throw them
yeah.
away, and that's the way I feel about our brands, and I feel about our country. Where are we going to throw it away to? Who are we going to leave it to? And yes, there are gaps, and there will be gaps. There are
Julia, the
gaps
question
everywhere
is,
in the world.
sorry, the question is it even that bad? I think we've become so pessimistic and we've entertained so much negative thoughts and information that we do not even see the good in the brand called Nigeria. And there's something my pastor would always say. He says, what you do not value cannot bless you. So if you don't see the good in it, you'll probably not reap, you'll not probably reap or live to see it. Uh, like I said, I do not just believe in the Nigerian brand, I believe in the Port Harcourt brand. Even in a time where a lot of people migrate from Port Harcourt and feel like, okay, I have to move to Lagos to become better, I'd be like, okay, fine, but I see a lot of good in Port Harcourt, and I must tell you that the city has blessed me. From here, products go as far as the US, Canada. I didn't have to go anywhere. All I had to do was stay put in it, believe in it, work hard, and
Work on your crafts.
sort of,
Yeah.
yeah, work on my craft. The world will find you. China was nowhere in the period. Like I said, Chinese phones were synonymous to fake. The British labeled Germany with made in Germany for it not to be patronized. But today it's all changed. So
True.
why
We also
why
had that
what
made
is
in
that?
Japan, etc.,
I'm
where it was
telling you.
like, yeah, made in Korea, but
Uh,
now we are hustling their products.
yes, we're hustling
You
their
know.
product. So what is there not to believe in Nigeria? The richest man, Dangote, the richest black man, Dangote's daughter got married some time ago. And every single vendor that provided services there were Nigerians. From the
But is it
sweet to
that we are
so
scared?
no. I
Is
do
it that we
not know,
think
but
we think
it's a
small?
two-way it's a two-way thing. It's a two-way thing. Like I said, it could be that people in the past have tried to actually believe and patronize the brand or the services of Nigerians, and it didn't turn out well. we understand that. Cut off some slack. We weren't born with this thing. A lot of us have improved. And yes, the entrepreneur, on the other hand, need to put in a lot of work. We need to put in a lot of work to build that trust. And yes, that's going to happen through, like I said, being able to create systems and processes in your business. And also building capacity where you're not myopic in your own way of reasoning. And build such capacity that would enable you um, um, cater for the demands, that come your way in terms of orders and what have you. So it's a process. It's a process. A lot of us, I'm a product of various clients who had to admonish me, criticize me, support me here and there. And today some of them look back and feel like, yeah, you've really improved. And this is one of the things I really want to appeal to most of the people we have as clients and everything. Be patient with us. We weren't born with this thing. we 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 had absolutely no idea what it was. Some of us grew up just seeing tailors who occupied a small shop and was tailoring our school uniforms and everything. But we had to choose it, and today a lot of us are scaling, pushing, exporting our products outside the country, and that doesn't also come easy. The environment doesn't seem enabling, but we keep at it because we believe that it is possible and it's doable.
Yeah,
So
Uche, did you
patience is
start off
required.
thinking this way from the get-go? Did you start off thinking,
No,
hey, I can push it and be as big as I want?
no. It becomes clearer by the day when you
Okay.
realize the the network you've been able to build by just being a tailor. When you realize the doors you've been able to access by just being a tailor. When you realize the impact you've been able to make by just being a tailor, you begin to understand that you need to place a higher value on what you do. You know, you just realize that this can actually cause more transformation for me if I invest more into it. And that's what I've been doing in the past few months. We're building such a huge capacity that um, when you see it, you don't need anybody to tell you that we really believe in what we do. And like I said,
Well, with what you do, the
I've
doors
grown
open.
past, yeah. But if you do it well, if you do it
Yeah,
well,
you
doors
do
don't
it
just
well.
open. Yeah.
Oh, I
So for me,
know.
like
I
I said
know.
to you, I've gone past the point of product and services to thinking on influence, impact, and power. I want to use my craft to become extremely powerful.
So you
That's
use your
that's
crafts to gain the ear and
gain, yeah, yeah,
gain access and then
gain
influence.
access. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Okay. Well,
That's
that
that's
is a
that's my current
revolutionary
goal
thought.
and vision.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So for every time I have the privilege of creating something, I look beyond that product. I ask myself, how can I make this product so unique that you would want to identify with me? How can I give you such
Okay.
an
Now,
experience that when I come to your house, you won't ask me to sit at the visitors room, but you would take me into your inner chambers and have a conversation with me?
well, Uche, before we go to the other part of our conversation, I need to show some comments here. We have
Yeah,
another very well made in Nigeria brother of mine. I'm just so proud that this is my Port Harcourt family. This is my River State family. I'm
yeah,
really so proud. Like this is from DSA. You know, um, indeed, Nigerian entrepreneurs are special breeds. Navigating to profitability is a daunting journey that will task your resilience and mental strength. Indeed, I mean, DSA, I agree. Only the strong survive anywhere in the world.
yeah.
Only the strong survive. I mean, Uche, what do you think?
Well,
That's my feeling.
even the weak survives if they seek support.
Yeah, but then they're mentally strong. It takes strength to seek support because you have to be
Yeah,
vulnerable and say, "Listen, I
yeah,
don't know everything. I can't do everything. You
exactly.
know, can you help
Mm,
me?" It takes a lot of strength. You do not want to know the number of people who would rather stay in their small corner, in a small
yeah,
shed, you know,
Yeah.
rather than say, hey, help me. And even to seek feedback, because I know you seek feedback, is one of the things you said. Not
Yeah.
just seeking the feedback, being willing to listen.
Yeah.
It's a skill. It's a skill by
Yes, it is.
itself.
Yes, it is.
It is a
Yes,
skill.
it is. And
It is.
um, yeah, it is.
Okay, Uche, someone's asking, Jerry's asking if you could raise your volume, if you could speak up a little bit more.
Oh,
I think he's
okay.
just so he's one of those people when his passion is high, his voice goes low. I think so. Yeah.
All right, I'll try to
Okay,
keep it
but
up.
we still have to talk. We still have to talk about your brand a little bit. You know,
Okay.
at what point did you think it was important for you to put those processes and systems in place?
It was a time where I was losing a lot of opportunities and I ran into crisis. I know
Okay.
during one of our last sessions, I told you how so sometimes, when people see on our pages and we say 5 weddings, maybe 3 locations, one designer, this and that, all they see is the finished work. They see people wearing suits, but they do not know the work that has gone on behind and all. So, at what point did we decide to set up processes in our businesses? At the point where we realized we were losing it, we were losing a lot of opportunities, we were making a lot of errors. Um, we were, we were, we're actually just messing up everything. So one of the first things I did was I remember I told you I had to take up a course on project management. So if you come to our office when we handle wedding jobs, we call it project. So project in the sense that we create briefs and charters for our clients. We send you documents to capture or to see if we are at par or we are on the same page on all the things you've ordered from us. And after which, yeah, we create a communication team that will be interfacing with you, giving you updates on the progress of the work, getting to see if there are necessary reviews, and then see how those reviews can be implemented. We create, well, it might not seem like a big deal, but we create invoices, quotations for you, receipts where necessary for every payment you make, even if it's not a one-off payment, and all of that. And somebody on standby to actually stay in touch with you and tell you how it goes until the very point of delivery where we come style you and everything. So we looked at that whole chain and realized that this is real work, but if we do not define it properly, we would always have issues. So one of the things I did at the time was I had to register for a project management course. I do not know this, at the point I didn't understand how that was going to be necessary for my craft, but being in the classroom, most of the people there were already project managers in their various companies. Some were engineers, but I was the only tailor who came to learn project management. Well, I needed to understand how these various orders I take, how can I properly, you know, outline them, know what to do per time so as to stop running into crises, and that helped us. So we had to look at it from the start to the finish. At the point where we engage the customer, what kind of experience do we create? What kind of ambience do we create? What follows it afterwards? How can we audit and track every single process of this order and production? So we had to write it out. It's just like you cooking, you have a recipe, you have a procedure. This is what comes after this. This is what comes
Yeah.
after this. And you realize that your results become more predictable because you know what you do after what. You know when to reach out to the client and everything. We haven't
So
totally,
you standardized it and documented
we've
it.
standardized it. Yes, we've documented it. So it's really helped us whereby today we handle there's a guy that contacted us from Canada. We're actually handling his wedding orders. His wedding is in December, and we called him last week to tell him that we were ready with his work. He screamed, and he sent his brother to our office and asked that we engage on a video call for him to see his work. And he saw the video call. We did the video call. He saw everything, and he said it is not possible for a Nigerian brand. Now, that was one opportunity also we had to change his perception about the Nigerian brand. One, do you get? And then because we've been able to standardize this whole process, one of the things it helped us achieve was speed. Everybody knew what to do per time. So which is why in the beginning I told you that this topic, very well made in Nigeria, is a topic that empowers us and also places a demand on us. And what are those demands? Being able to create systems, processes, build capacity, and then take up certain values that would enable us to break forth and do things better and easier. So those were the few ways I was able to, that was one of the ways I was able to create a process for my business. I had to, all the stakeholders, all my production team, the ladies at the front desk, everybody had to sit down and look at it holistically and then had to identify the places or the points where we always had issues in delivering most of those jobs. So we just had to properly address them, and so far it's been very well.
A lot of us, a lot of people I talk to, not necessarily on this broadcast, on this program, but a lot of people, entrepreneurs I talk to, they seem to want to go straight past the pain points to the pleasure points. And the pleasure point is good, but the pain point is part of the process. And
Yes, it is.
I could see from your face, I'm sure anybody else could see that when you talked about missing opportunities, and you actually had to sit down and have a meeting with yourself first of all to say,
Yeah,
is this the future? Is this how we're going to roll it? You know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
so the thing is, there's something I always say. Um, one quality I have tried to hold on to and imbibe in the past few years is that of patience. I'm usually not in a hurry. I always say to people that the business community is not shutting down tomorrow. So I'll take my time to do what I have to do. And at the time where we're ready, we know that um, we we understood from the very point we started to here, and we understand why we're doing what we're doing. The question you just asked now, I always try to respond with this illustration. So a seed falls to the ground, and the seed is in the soil. People come around, step on it, they pee on it, people sit around there, but they do not know that the seed is actually going through a process. And at the point where it will emerge to become a tree that will provide shelter to everybody. The tree isn't usually bothered about who's come to pee around there, who's stepping on that soil, and the pain it has to go through to go deep inside before starts then, coming up. I believe in natural growth process. I do not try to overstimulate my brand. I do not try to overexpose myself. It doesn't mean I take huge risks, Julia. Don't even don't even think I don't, but I believe in a natural growth process, which many of us will call organic growth. And I do not try to overstimulate something that I haven't properly analyzed, checked the various threats, opportunities that are in it. And I think that should be the same for every Nigerian entrepreneur. So somebody starts business today, he sees uh, he sees OT and feels like, uh, if OT did it, I'm going to do it. You do not know the mental capacity I've built. You do not know what my financial capacity is. So if you try to do all that, the point is chances are you break yourself. So we need to learn how to be patient, and just like I gave the illustration of the seed and the tree, understand that everything will take its natural course. If you understand, if you give birth to a baby today, it will be your desire that the baby works or starts to work. But if you have the baby today and then tomorrow the baby begins to work, I'm sure you'll be worried because you know that it
yeah,
defies the natural growth process. So I think the same thing happens when it comes to entrepreneurship and business. Certain things should just go through the process, and at the expected time that should break forth, break forth. It is when you do not break forth that, okay, you begin to find out what could have gone wrong, and like I said, more and newer entrepreneurs will emerge 5, 10 years from today. It simply means that the market is still very active. Just do what you have to do patiently and believe that you would have your own share of the market. But it isn't so much about the share of the market as to the impacts that we make for our great nation and in the lives of people around us. Honestly, like I said, I think I've gone past the point of product and service to the impact I want to make the influence and the power that I can gain in order to actually change a lot of things, whether politically and otherwise. So patience is required, honestly. I hope I answered your question, Julia.
Yes, you have. Patience is required to go through the process. And you set off another, well, line of thought for me, um, which is your focus can keep changing as an entrepreneur. Your brand may not change. Well, it can improve, but maybe you started off with, hey, listen, let me make money, then let me make
Mhm.
great clothes, and then, hey, listen, I can use great clothes to gain access to influence. So what it tells me is that it takes me to vision, and maybe vision is really truly an evolving thing. It's not something that we should just put right down today and put on a wall and say it's cast in stone, because it could
Yeah,
change. It could change, but it was rooted in the
yeah,
seed of that brand.
yeah,
It was rooted in the seed of
yeah,
that brand. And if we take your mango seed analogy, for example, I don't know if you use mango seed, or I chose that because I love mangoes. But let's use the mango seed, because I know that the roots have to go deep. you know the roots have to really go deep, for
yeah,
the tree to, and I know the deeper
yeah,
the roots, usually the stronger the tree. you know so it takes a lot more time for it to
absolutely,
go in,
absolutely.
and it seems so much is not happening. So
Yeah,
while that tree was growing up, maybe people would pee on it and maybe cut off its branches, but by the time it becomes a big
mm,
tree, it becomes a focal point.
yeah,
It really becomes a
it
focal
becomes,
point.
yeah,
Yes, it becomes a focal point. So I think, I'm really, as I'm talking to you, this is one of the few times it's happened to me. Not because I'm so cool like that, but I'm getting goosebumps from realizing that something we just sat down and thought has been amplified in such a way, and that we really do have the power to move beyond, to use whatever we have
yes,
in
we
our
do.
hand. Because if I remember in the
Yes,
Bible, God asked Moses, "What do you have in your hand? What do you have in
yeah,
your hand?"
yeah,
That's what you use. You use what you have in your hand. There are people here who are excellent marketing strategies on this broadcast. There are people here who are excellent legal minds. There are people who are DJs. There are people who are in the creative industry. They are all extremely talented and gifted. And the truth
yeah.
is, what do you have in your mind, and what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do
There's a
about
saying
it?
that nothing increases in value until you put it to use.
Yeah.
Nothing ever increases in value until you put it to good use. So, like I said, this session is for those that are practicing, those that have emerged or emerging, and those that had even given up. Okay, those that had given up. Um, when I narrated the Chinese experience, narrated the German experience, it just
Yeah.
shows you that they were right on. I mean, the very simple one is China phone. At the time when you get those ringtones, you're like, well, why it is China phone? But today, Apple produces in China. China manufactures for Apple, and the rest of them.
Yes.
China knew what they were trying to achieve. Were they there yet at the time? No, but you just have to keep doing it. So for every day you come out, you just give in one. You come tomorrow, you give in two. They say tiny drops make a mighty ocean. You just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And for those of us who's attained a certain level, the truth is, when we do the things we do, let's also remember that our decisions and our actions serves as a reference point and a platform for those who are looking up to us to actually leverage on, and also build their thing. Okay, so when you do certain things, it is important that you do it for posterity, you do it for impact, and you do it for influence. All right. So, like I said to you, honestly, Julia, I'm growing my business to the point where I I want to strengthen people's faith in the idea of entrepreneurship. I want to strengthen people's faith in the community and the business community of Port Harcourt. I want to strengthen people's faith in the Nigerian business community. So whether you're in diaspora, when you hear of certain grounds that were breaking, you hear of certain achievements, you will begin to believe once again in the Nigerian business community. And very well made in Nigeria vision is the only way that we can achieve this. So we've been given a golden
So this is
opportunity,
a stubborn
you know.
faith. This is a
Yes, it
stubborn
is.
faith, no
Yeah,
matter
it
what.
doesn't come easy.
It's a
It's not gonna
stubborn
come
faith.
easy.
Yeah.
It's not gonna come easy. It's not gonna come easy. So we have to be willing to put in the work. We have to be willing to put in the work. It's not gonna come easy. But I'm sure with people like you, um, giving platforms for us to discuss about these things, we will. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather.
Okay. You're good?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, honestly, I just want to thank you for coming up with this series. For me, even it got me to the point of evaluating and having to relook at a lot of things that has to do with my brand. Is it very well made? Is it such that the global world will be able to reckon with? Yeah, we've been able to um, experience patronage from the outside world and everything, but um, how can we sustain it? How can we make it such that
Can we
every
scale
single
it?
thing that
Yeah.
comes from, yeah, how can we scale it? So um, yeah, yeah, like I said, it places a demand on we the entrepreneur vision. So the point is that whether you're an entrepreneur or not, give so much value to the point where um, you can emerge as a decision maker. A lot of people are doing that. Take for instance, Tony Lumelu of UBA. From banking, Tony through his foundation and so many
Foundation,
other
yeah.
ways has become a voice in Africa. So you can actually say that Tony is a very well made Nigerian brand or product, if you want to refer to him as a product. So if you start seeing beyond just banking, today Tony through Hess Holding is taking up a lot of SPDT facilities. Today Tony is found in the hospitality sector. Today Tony is in the medical sector. You see how one thing gave rise to others. And before you know it, you know, he begins to contribute to the decision making of who becomes our leader. So, like I said, the fact that you're an entrepreneur, you've been empowered, to cause the desired change in our nation. Just your ability or your being an entrepreneur is equivalent to you having your PVC, you know. But unlike PVC, at this point, you're in the corridors of power through your craft. You gain access. People begin to consult you as to who would become. I want to go to the point where I will contribute and be among those to decide who emerges as the leader of a particular area or state. Either you do that through your financial muscle or you do that through influence. A lot of people today are
Influence.
building so much impact, to in the area of maybe social media that people have to leverage on them to gain publicity or publicize or maybe pass information, all of that. So I believe that we entrepreneurs, there's no better time than now to understand how powerful we can be through delivering excellence and quality service.
So whatever
There's
we
no better
do,
time than now.
do well. And whatever you have in your hand, don't devalue it. There's always something else. I want to just quickly talk about where you talked about the focus of where you talked about look for gaps you can fill, because you said you started off with the traditional um, outfits. You
Yeah,
started off making
yeah,
traditional outfits, and
yeah.
then you moved from that to saying, "Hey, listen, why do you have to do your traditional hair and go over there? Give me a chance." So you
Mm,
pushed to be given a
mm,
chance, and you did that. And
yeah,
a lot of us, when we start our entrepreneurship, never mind what people say. A lot of us don't know what we are doing. We start off with, okay, maybe this is what I want to do, and then that thing changes, evolves along
yeah,
yeah, with time, and then it's always good to have a circle around you that'll tell you the truth. That'll tell you, hey, listen, you're more than this. Listen, what you're
yeah,
doing. I mean, listen, Uche. I believe that I'm usually, I would be, anybody who has their eyes fixed on a goal is 5 steps from that person you want to reach, you know.
yeah.
And I know
True.
that there are people I would want to reach in River State today, that all I need to do is to talk to you, and you'll talk to somebody, and you talk to somebody, and it won't take more than 5 steps, because you
So there's
also
something I
know
usually
that
say. Mm,
if I get to that room, I'm not going to let you down.
yeah, so there's something I usually say to my workers. I tell them, can you use your service as a collateral? So some of them come to me and they tell me, boss, I need this, I need that, I need that. And I tell them, if I look at your performance, I do not think you deserve that thing. So, some of us just think that it's when you have a landed property that you can exchange it for something. And so, see, you can grow your service to the point where it becomes your 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 collateral. It becomes
Absolutely.
that thing you give in exchange for anything. All right. So you see the idea of service,
Yeah.
providing service. It can bring you before. I mean, well, Bible student, he says, seest thou a man diligent in his ways,
In his
or in
ways.
whatever he does, he will sit before kings and queens. How else do you need to be told that the craft you're doing is all you need to gain access? You don't need your uncle, you don't need your aunt, you don't need your father, you don't need your mother, you don't need anybody. Just be good, extremely good at what you do. Doors will open.
Yeah, Uche, but you see, that's where I think some of us get it wrong. We look at diligence as just show up every day and do the same thing. We don't look at diligence as how you've defined it today. Keep looking for opportunities to improve yourself. Fail, but fail forward. I mean, I'm using John Maxwell's words there. Fail forward, learn from the failure, and really
Yeah,
don't be afraid to fail. Because if you
yeah,
don't fail, how are you going to learn? You know,
yeah.
we had a guest yesterday, last week, who said, I was just a ching ching seller. My goodness, right now she's looking for, well, people are approaching her to invest in her business.
And that's because it's good.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And,
So
you
there'll
know,
there'll there'll come a point where the world will come for Nigeria. I mean, they already are. If you look at the
they're
various
already coming.
collaborations that is happening
Yeah.
in the music industry, it is because they found something unique about the Nigerian musicians. They found something unique about the Nigerian musical content. All right. So it is going to happen in every other sector, but we need to rise up, work hard, and build brands that can be trusted, that are reliable, and then back it with so much excellence. It might seem like I'm speaking, like I'm using big words, but first, 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 you need to believe. You need to believe first. You need to believe. You need to value. You need to have value for it. Like I said before, some of us are running from pillar to pole. It's like when I hear some of my colleagues say, I'm moving to Lagos and so on, I say, no problem. Yeah. But, I believe so much in what I do. When I started my business, when I dress up and come to work, I tell my friends that I dey go my office. My office na my chamber. If you be lawyer, my office na my chamber. If you be doctor, my office na my hospital. if you be this one, anything where that thing be to you, now waiting my own be to me. It got to a point where people that were working in oil and gas firms were coming to me to ask me, I just want to add an extra craft to my skill. I want to learn how to sew. Do you know why? Because I believed in what I was doing so much that they could see it through my eyes. They could see value in what I do because of how I have handled it. Okay, so whatever you do, whether you're a shoemaker, whether you're a caterer, whether you're a hairstylist, whatever you do, carry it with so much dignity and do it so well that a banker would want to give up banking and want to come learn your craft. Okay, it becomes your ticket. It becomes the key you
Yeah.
use to unlock several doors. Remember the topic is very well made in Nigeria, and I think this is a vision that we all need to plug into. See, the Nigerian dream can come to reality if every entrepreneur play their role. Deliver quality and excellent service to the point where you know you become you become you become unavoidable. You become somebody everybody want to identify and reckon with. So have absolute value for what you do. Have absolute faith in your process and system, whether it's manifested today or not. If they didn't stay on it, Germany wasn't isn't what it is today. If they didn't stay on it, Germany wouldn't be what it is today. Remember, I'll go back to the German story. The British label them made in Germany so you can distinguish or separate them when you're buying products because it's fake. But that's not what it is today. That's not what it is today. Well,
Well, somebody said excellent nuggets from this interview. I would say it's not just nuggets. I think you've laid down the gauntlet. You've put down a challenge. Anuche, I promise you, I'm taking up that challenge. And
yes, please.
you've also encouraged a lot of people because, uh, as you know, our focus has been in JGC for SMEs. But I keep asking myself, yeah, we can be SMEs, but must we be bad SMEs?
No.
We don't have to be bad SMEs, and we can be to a point where somebody looks at you and say, "I want to buy your company," and the figures they mention boggle your mind because you add so much. You've added so much value to what you. So you've encouraged me. You've encouraged me. I hope people who listen to us live and who will come back to listen. I think I really want to thank the people who come back to listen because they're usually much more than the people who join us live because of the time we've chosen to be here, to be on. But thank you all very much. Thank you, Uche. Thank you very much. I think this deserves a master class. There's some people here. They're not talking, but I know their work is really very well made in Nigeria because they do not compromise. They do not
Mm,
compromise. They keep working at it, and they're here. I mean, I don't want to embarrass them by mentioning their names here, but they're here with us. They're here with us. So truly, yeah. Let's do from Port Harcourt to the world, like to the continent, and then hey, the world is there for us to take. The territories are there for us to take. Let's not stay
yes,
small. Yes,
yes,
let's believe, let's value what we have, and let's stick at it.
absolutely.
Let's stay at it. Yeah, stay at it.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so very much, Uche. Thank you
Thank you
very,
so much for
very
having
much
me.
for
Thank you.
for yeah.
Thank
You're coming back. I don't know when, but you're coming back.
you.
We have to make this very well made in Nigeria a thing. It has to become a
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, we
and we
should.
have to figure
Yeah,
out
we
how
should.
it will be a thing by thinking out of the box. We can't. I don't think I want to use the normal channels that exist
Mm,
because
mm,
you have to do something different to make a difference. You know.
yeah,
So
sure.
thank you. We'll
Thank you.
talk. We'll definitely talk
Thank you for
offline.
having
And thank you for
me. Okay.
distracting me so I didn't ask you that question online. You know which one I mean.
Thank you for not asking.
So, guys, see you next week. We'll see you next week with
All right.
another great, very well made in Nigeria brand. There are a lot of them. And if you know people that we should talk to, please tell us. We don't know everybody. We would love to know everybody, but please tell us. You're building up a database of well made in Nigeria brands. So do drop us a line and thank you for coming. See you next week. Bye.
Yep. Bye.